The princess believed him weak, until the apex predators bowed and stepped back. The capital city of Zurich floated silently in orbit above the emerald planet below, its towers shimmering in the reflection of distant suns. Ships of every shape and size dotted the sky, some gliding with elegant precision, others lumbering with the weight of cargo. Despite the beauty, Alara's mind was troubled. She turned her gaze to the newly arrived human envoy, Captain Kale. He stood at the center of the docking platform, calmly observing the crowd of alien ambassadors with a small, modest smile. His uniform was simple, lacking the gleaming insignia or heavy armor that the Zorithian commanders and their allies wore proudly. To any observer, he appeared ordinary, almost fragile. To Princess Alara, he seemed weak. The princess had grown up among the finest warriors of the galaxy, trained to read intentions and recognize power. Humans, she had been told, were unpredictable, emotional, and fragile. They had no grand fleets, no ancient armadas, and no history of galactic dominance. And yet, here was one standing calmly among species she had always considered superior. "Why does he not even carry a sidearm?" she muttered to herself, her voice barely audible over the hum of the docking engines. Her advisor, Lord Varus, an older Zorithian with scaled skin that glimmered like molten metal, leaned closer. "He relies on intelligence rather than force," he said in a low, cautious tone. "Humans are different, Your Highness. They survive where others fail." Alara narrowed her eyes. "Different does not mean strong. I have watched their ships dock. I have seen their crews prepare. They look fragile, untrained, unready." Varus only shrugged. "Perhaps, but strength does not always come from appearances." Alara turned back to Kale, who now walked calmly among the other delegates. He spoke to them politely, gesturing to objects in their hands, listening intently, nodding when appropriate. He seemed out of place among beings twice or three times his size, yet he carried himself with quiet confidence. Confidence, she reminded herself, was not strength. Suddenly, a warning siren blared across the observation deck. Red lights flashed, reflecting in the glass walls. The crowd panicked slightly, moving toward emergency shelters. Alara's heart skipped a beat. "Report," she commanded, stepping forward. A junior officer ran up, his limbs trembling. "Princess, scouts report movement near the outer colonies. It's the apex predators. They've been sighted attacking the settlement on Zoria Prime. The colony has requested immediate assistance." Alara's stomach tightened. The apex predators were creatures of legend, tall, towering beasts designed for war, capable of striking with terrifying speed and intelligence. No conventional army had ever been able to fight them head-on without massive losses. They were the reason many species kept their borders heavily fortified and their fleets ready at all times. She glanced at Kale, whose expression remained calm. "Do you see that human?" she said, her tone carrying the weight of her disbelief. "Do you understand what you face?" Kale's eyes met hers, steady and unflinching. "Yes, Princess," he said simply. "We will handle it." Alara's brow furrowed. "Handle it." "Do you understand the size and power of those predators? Even our best commanders would struggle." Kale nodded, as if he had anticipated her disbelief. "We understand more than you think, but strength is not always measured in firepower." Alara felt a spark of irritation. He spoke with calm certainty, as though her skepticism was a trivial thing to be brushed aside. Yet beneath her frustration, curiosity stirred. Could he possibly be right? Could a single human with his small crew actually do something that so many others could not? The decision was made. Kale's team would be dispatched immediately. Alara insisted on observing from orbit, wanting to witness firsthand the capabilities of this human envoy. The fleet mobilized, ships spinning into formation, energy shields humming to life. Kale moved among the crew, speaking quietly, organizing, planning, and adjusting. Despite the urgency, he never raised his voice. The alien commanders grumbled. whispering among themselves that humans were naive, unprepared, and foolish. As the fleet slipped into hyperspace toward Zoria Prime, Alara reflected on what she saw. Kale's calm presence contrasted sharply with the tension in the alien commanders. It unnerved her. There was something in his simplicity, in his careful observation and thoughtful movements, that she could not yet understand. It was unlike anything she had encountered in the many species of the galaxy. Hours later, the human fleet emerged near the colony. Smoke rose from the surface, black clouds curling against the green-blue of the planet. The apex predators were already at work, large, muscular creatures with metallic plating across their bodies, eyes glinting with calculated menace. Their claws dug into the ground as they advanced, their voices a strange, resonant roar that carried across the terrain. The colonists fled in panic. Alara felt a pang of fear. She had watched fleets of warships face alien threats, yet there was a primal terror in these creatures that no mechanical weapon seemed able to fully counter. She expected Kale to panic, to falter. But he did not. He raised his hand, signaling his small crew to spread out. Drones and automated defenses moved forward under his command, but the real power came from Kale's strategy. He did not attack the predators head-on. Instead, he guided them, using the environment to slow them down, cutting off escape routes, forcing the predators into narrow valleys and dense forests where their size became a disadvantage. Alara's eyes widened. She had never seen anything like it. Each movement of Kale's team was precise, coordinated, and calculated. The humans used light, sound, and terrain in ways she had never considered. They were not stronger than the predators, not yet, but they were clever, and cleverness, she was beginning to realize, could match strength. A particularly large predator lunged toward a human drone. Kale's voice rang out, clear and confident. "Redirect left." "Slow it down," the predator obeyed, almost as if it respected the authority in his voice, moving cautiously around a trap that Kale's crew had set. One by one, the predators found themselves in positions they had not intended, confused and frustrated. Alara felt a flicker of respect and disbelief. This human, whom she had dismissed as weak, was controlling the battlefield in a way that others could not. His calm assessment of danger, his foresight, and his subtle authority made him more powerful than she had ever imagined. As the sun began to set over Zoria Prime, casting long shadows across the landscape, Kale and his crew held the predators at bay, not with brute force, but with intelligence, strategy, and a quiet confidence that seemed to command even the wildest of creatures. Alara could not look away. She realized with an unexpected thrill that she was witnessing something extraordinary, something she had underestimated. The princess believed him weak, until the first signs of human ingenuity and courage proved otherwise. And as the shadows deepened, Alara wondered if she had ever truly understood what humans were capable of. The morning sun rose over Zoria Prime, casting a pale golden glow across the colony. Smoke still curled into the sky from the aftermath of the apex predators' attack, black streaks marking the areas where structures had been torn apart. The colonists moved cautiously through the debris, their faces a mixture of fear, relief, and hope. Princess Alara watched from the observation deck of the human fleet, her arms crossed tightly. Captain Kale stood beside her, calm as ever, scanning the planet below with a sharp, steady gaze. Despite the apparent serenity in his posture, Alara could feel the tension radiating from the small crew moving across the planet's surface. Each human had a role, each action deliberate, each movement precise. "They're brave," she admitted quietly, almost to herself. "But brave is not enough against creatures like those." Kale's eyes never left the ground below. "Bravery alone does not save anyone," he said. "But strategy, planning, and understanding can." Alara frowned. "Strategy against those predators." Kale nodded, pointing to the dense forest that surrounded the colony. "They are large, strong, and fast, but they are also predictable. They respond to instinct, to patterns, and to perceived threats. We can guide them, control their movements without a single direct confrontation. Ilara's brow furrowed. The idea seemed impossible. How could a small team of humans, armed mostly with light weapons and drones, possibly face a predator capable of ripping a metal hull apart with ease? Yet, watching Kale, there was no arrogance, only calm certainty. "Prepare your team," Kale said, speaking into a communicator. "We move in synchronized formations. Avoid direct attacks unless absolutely necessary. Observe, predict, and redirect." The humans below scattered across the colony's perimeter, placing energy barriers, deploying drones, and setting up observation posts. Each motion was precise, rehearsed, and deliberate. Despite the chaos of the predator threat, there was a rhythm to their actions, a quiet harmony that contrasted sharply with the raw power of the creatures they faced. Ilara could not tear her eyes away. Even from orbit, she could sense the tension, the anticipation, and the remarkable coordination of humans in action. Hours passed in tense silence. Then, the first predator appeared at the edge of the forest. Its metallic claws dug into the soil, sending small rocks flying as it moved with terrifying speed. Its eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the morning light, and its posture radiated both power and intent. The colony below froze. Kale's voice came through the communicator, calm and commanding. "Do not engage. Observe and guide. Follow the path I outline." The humans obeyed instantly. Small drones flew ahead, emitting soft lights and sounds that caught the predator's attention. Instead of charging directly at the humans, it shifted its course, curious and cautious. Kale's strategy was simple yet brilliant. The predator's own instincts could be used against them. Ilara felt a surge of disbelief. She had never seen such control exercised without direct force. The predators, despite their size and strength, followed the cues laid out by Kale. Each step they took was calculated, guided by human ingenuity rather than brute strength. Minutes later, another predator appeared, larger and more aggressive. It let out a low, resonant growl that shook the ground. The colonists screamed and ran for cover. Ilara's stomach tightened. She had imagined Kale would falter here, that the sheer presence of these creatures would overwhelm any human. But Kale remained calm. He adjusted the positions of the drones, moved a few energy barriers, and spoke clearly into the communicator. "Shift left. Slow them down. Keep the path narrow." The predator obeyed, almost as if it understood the authority in his voice. It moved cautiously, avoiding the traps and taking the path Kale had subtly guided it toward. Another predator joined, larger and faster, yet it too fell into the pattern the humans had established. Ilara's eyes widened. The humans were turning the environment itself into a weapon. Rivers, cliffs, and dense forests became natural barriers, guiding the predators' movements and neutralizing their advantage. Every trap was non-lethal but effective, designed to redirect rather than destroy. She could feel her respect growing, mixed with a sense of astonishment. Kale, who she had once thought weak, was orchestrating a battle without firing a single shot directly at the predators. His intelligence, foresight, and calm authority were doing what brute force alone could never achieve. Hours passed as the humans maneuvered the predators across the landscape. They slowed them, guided them, and redirected their attacks away from the colony. The creatures became increasingly cautious, wary of the humans' presence and the traps laid across their path. Each time a predator attempted a direct assault, it found itself caught in a subtle but effective countermeasure, unable to reach its target. Ilara noticed a change in the predator's behavior. They were no longer purely aggressive. They were alert, calculating, and strangely deferential. It was as though Kale's quiet confidence communicated a command that they instinctively understood. For the first time, Ilara realized that power was not always visible. Strength could come in many forms: intelligence, strategy, observation, and moral clarity. Kale's small human team was proving that the galaxy had underestimated them, and that human ingenuity could match, or even surpass, raw strength. By the time the sun began to set, the predators had been guided into a natural canyon, a narrow passage that limited their movement. Kale's team held the entrance, using energy barriers and carefully placed obstacles. The creatures roared in frustration, unable to advance further, yet unharmed. Alara felt a thrill of awe. This human, who had seemed fragile and weak, had done what the best alien commanders could not. He had controlled the apex predators, using intelligence, patience, and understanding instead of sheer force. "Princess," Kale said calmly, turning his gaze upward as if he sensed her observation. "We hold them for now, but the challenge is not over. We must continue to guide and adapt. They are strong, yes, but they are not invincible." Alara nodded, unable to look away. She realized with an unexpected pang of humility that she had misjudged humanity. The humans were not weak. They were different, yes, but in ways that the galaxy had not yet learned to respect. As night fell over Zoria Prime, the colony below began to recover. Humans moved among the residents, assisting with repairs, providing comfort and restoring hope. The predators remained in the canyon, subdued not by violence but by clever guidance and careful planning. Alara stood silently, contemplating what she had witnessed. Kale had changed her perception entirely. What she had assumed was weakness was, in truth, a quiet, formidable strength. A strength that could not be measured by size or weaponry, but by intelligence, courage, and moral clarity. She realized that the galaxy would soon need to rethink what it considered power. If a single human could command even the apex predators with strategy alone, what could an entire species of such humans achieve? For the first time, she began to understand the real potential of humanity. And she knew, deep in her heart, that the challenges ahead would require all the ingenuity and courage that humans could offer. The night sky shimmered with stars, each one a reminder of the vast universe beyond Zoria Prime. And in the quiet, Alara found herself waiting, almost breathlessly, to see what humans would do next. Captain Kale, the man she had once believed weak, had proven that strength was more than muscle or weapons. It was intelligence, patience, and the courage to face the impossible with calm resolve. And the first encounter with the apex predators had only just begun. The sun barely peeked over the jagged horizon of Zoria Prime as Captain Kale's small human team prepared for the next phase of their mission. The apex predators, guided into a narrow canyon the previous day, remained restless. They were massive, towering over the humans by several meters, muscles rippling beneath metallic-plated skin. Their glowing eyes scanned the canyon carefully, aware of the traps and obstacles around them. Princess Alara watched from the observation deck aboard the fleet hovering above. She had spent the night reflecting on Kale's strategy and for the first time doubted her earlier judgment. Humans, she realized, were not weak. They were cunning, adaptive, and surprisingly resilient. Kale approached the communications console, speaking softly into a microphone that relayed his voice to the teams on the ground. "We need to move carefully," he said. "The predators are intelligent. They test boundaries. Every step we take must be deliberate. Observe their behavior. Predict their next move." A hum of activity filled the canyon below. Human engineers activated subtle devices that projected soft light and sound, creating false pathways to guide the predators. Small drones hovered, casting shadows to influence movement, while ground teams repositioned barriers with silent precision. Every human worked in synchronization, executing a plan Kale had envisioned but had not yet fully explained. Alara leaned forward, captivated. She could feel the tension in the canyon, the energy in the air. This was no ordinary battle. This was a test of intellect, patience, and understanding, a contest between raw power and subtle genius. The first predator made its move. Its massive claws dug into the rocky soil as it advanced toward what it thought was an escape route for the humans. Kale's team had anticipated this. With a signal, a series of barriers rose, forcing the predator to stop and change course. It snarled, a deep, resonant sound that shook the canyon walls. "Redirect right," Kale instructed calmly. "Maintain distance. Use their weight against them." The predator hesitated, then obeyed, shifting toward the narrower side of the canyon where the humans had carefully designed their traps. Alara gasped. Even from orbit, she could see how the predator's own strength was now working against them. Their size made it difficult to maneuver in the tight space, slowing their movements and creating openings for Kale's team. Another predator joined, larger and more aggressive. Its metallic plates glinted in the early morning sun as it lunged toward one of the drones. Kale's voice rang out again, clear and commanding. "Step back, guide it along the path. Watch for patterns." The predator hesitated mid-lunge as though considering his words. It changed direction, following the subtle cues provided by Kale's devices and the human team. The canyon echoed with roars, but the humans remained calm, adjusting their movements in perfect harmony. Alara could hardly believe what she was seeing. The humans were not just surviving, they were controlling the battlefield. Every predator was being guided, subtly maneuvered and contained. The human strategy was working, and Kale's authority over the situation was unquestionable. Hours passed. The predators grew increasingly frustrated, their movements sharper, their growls louder. They tested the humans' traps repeatedly, probing for weaknesses. Kale's eyes followed every motion, his mind calculating, predicting, adapting. He moved with precision, issuing quiet commands that coordinated the humans' every action. Alara felt her respect for him grow. This was more than leadership. It was mastery. Kale had transformed a desperate situation into a controlled operation. The humans were guiding creatures far stronger than themselves, using intelligence and strategy instead of violence. Then came the moment that would change everything. One of the apex predators, the largest and most aggressive of them all, broke free from the canyon's narrow confines. It charged directly at a human drone, claws raised, teeth bared. The ground shook with each step, sending dust and rocks into the air. Alara's heart pounded. She had expected disaster, but Kale's reaction was calm, measured. He signaled the human team with a series of hand gestures and a simple command: "Hold steady, redirect now." The humans obeyed instantly. Drones moved in synchronized patterns, creating a barrier of light and sound that forced the predator to alter its path. The creature snarled, confused, but it could not advance toward the humans. Kale had anticipated this exact moment, and every move was part of his larger strategy. Princess Alara felt a thrill of awe. She realized that Kale's strength was not in his body but in his mind. He was reading the predator's instincts, predicting their actions, and guiding them like a conductor leading a symphony. Even the largest, most terrifying creature had no choice but to follow his subtle cues. As the day progressed, Kale's team continued to maneuver the predators. Each one became more cautious, more hesitant, as if learning that the humans were not to be challenged. By late afternoon, all the predators were contained within a series of narrow valleys and natural barriers, their movements restricted and controlled. Alara descended from the observation deck to speak with Kale directly. She moved quickly through the bustling human command center, passing crew members who coordinated drones, managed energy barriers, and monitored predator behavior. The room was filled with quiet intensity, a hum of activity that seemed almost choreographed. "Captain Kale," she said, approaching him, how are you doing this? These creatures are massive. They could destroy everything in a moment." Kale turned to her, his calm expression unwavering. "They are strong, yes, but they are not invincible. Every creature has instincts, limits, and patterns. By observing carefully and acting deliberately, we can guide them without direct conflict. Alara shook her head in disbelief. I underestimated you. I thought humans were fragile, weak. I thought you would fail. Kale smiled faintly. Strength comes in many forms, Princess. Not all of it is visible. Not all of it is measured by size or weapons. Sometimes it is in understanding, patience, and courage. Alara felt a shift inside her. She realized that her assumptions had been wrong, that she had judged Kale based on appearances rather than abilities. The humans were proving themselves in a way that no alien species had anticipated. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and quiet authority over life-and-death situations made them formidable in ways that others could not comprehend. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the canyon was bathed in a soft, golden glow. The predators, once feared across galaxies, now moved cautiously, almost deferentially, within the confines of the human-designed barriers. Kale walked among his team, inspecting the devices and adjusting positions, ensuring that every predator remained under control. Alara followed, her steps hesitant but determined. She observed the humans' discipline, their coordination, and the calm authority Kale radiated. For the first time, she truly understood that leadership was not about dominating with force, but about guiding with intelligence and respect. Princess, Kale said, sensing her presence beside him, the predators will test us again. They are strong, intelligent, and relentless. But we will adapt. We will observe, learn, and guide. That is what humans do best. Alara nodded, a sense of pride and awe swelling inside her. She realized that she had been wrong to doubt humanity. These people, small in size but vast in courage and intelligence, had turned a dire situation into a controlled operation. They had shown that true strength was not always visible, and that understanding and strategy could command even the most terrifying creatures. The night fell over Zoria Prime, and the stars shimmered above the canyon. The predators, contained and wary, roamed within the natural barriers, their raw power neutralized by human ingenuity. The humans moved among them with confidence, their presence a symbol of control and intelligence. Alara watched quietly, realizing that the galaxy had underestimated humans for far too long. Captain Kale, whom she had once considered weak, had proven that strength was more than physical. It was intelligence, courage, and the ability to see patterns where others saw chaos. And in the quiet of the canyon, surrounded by creatures once thought unstoppable, she knew that humanity had only just begun to reveal its true potential. The first encounter had been survived. The first test had been passed. But the real challenge, the one that would demand every ounce of intelligence, strategy, and courage, was still ahead. Princess Alara, once skeptical and doubtful, now stood beside Kale, ready to witness the full extent of human ingenuity and strength. And as the night deepened, a quiet sense of anticipation filled the air. For the apex predators had bowed to no one in the galaxy. Yet here, guided by the calm authority of a human captain, they had stepped back. And that was only the beginning. The morning light filtered through the thick canopy of the canyon, casting long, jagged shadows over the terrain. The apex predators, though contained by the humans' careful strategy, stirred with growing frustration. Their glowing eyes reflected intelligence, not just instinct, and it was clear to Captain Kale that their patience was thinning. Princess Alara observed quietly from the observation platform hovering above the canyon. She had watched humans before, but never like this. They moved with purpose, confidence, and an almost uncanny understanding of the predator's behavior. Every action was deliberate, every movement calculated. And yet there was something more, something she could not fully articulate, that made Kale's presence feel like a center of gravity, pulling even the apex predators into line without a single act of violence. Kale stood at the edge of the canyon, scanning the creatures below. He spoke into his communicator softly, issuing orders that sounded simple but were executed with perfect precision by his team. "Observe the largest one," he instructed. "Its instincts will guide the rest. Watch its patterns and adjust your positions. Do not provoke. Do not attack. Guide and redirect." The humans moved like a single entity. Drones hovered in perfect formation, casting lights and shadows that subtly influenced the predator's paths. Energy barriers rose and fell at precise intervals, shaping movement without aggression. Small, targeted signals, a sound here, a vibration there, prompted the predators to pause, hesitate, and reconsider their actions. Alara could hardly believe what she was seeing. The humans were not just surviving, they were controlling an environment that seemed almost impossible to dominate. Even the apex predators, creatures known for their relentless aggression and unmatched power, were responding to human strategy. Suddenly, the largest predator, a creature whose metallic plating glimmered in the sunlight, stepped forward. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if testing the human's resolve. Kale's eyes narrowed slightly, not in fear but in anticipation. "Maintain your positions," he said. "Observe its behavior. Let it understand that its strength is not enough here." The predator circled the humans, sniffing the air, examining the barriers, and studying the drones. Every step it took was cautious, measured. It roared, a deep, resonant sound that shook the canyon, but did not attack. Instead, it seemed to be evaluating, calculating, and acknowledging the human's presence. Alara felt a shiver run down her spine. She had been taught to fear these creatures, to respect their power above all else. Yet here, she witnessed something entirely different. The predator was not mindless. It was intelligent, aware, and remarkably respectful. Kale raised his hand slightly, a subtle gesture that conveyed both authority and reassurance. The predator froze mid-step, then shifted its path in a way that avoided direct confrontation. One by one, the other predators followed, bowing their heads slightly as they passed. It was an almost ceremonial display, a recognition of command that required no violence. Alara's mouth fell open. She had believed in strength measured by force, by domination. Yet here, she saw strength in understanding, patience, and quiet authority. She realized that she had underestimated humans, not just Kale, but humanity as a whole. Kale walked among his team, inspecting the devices and drones, ensuring every predator remained guided without harm. His calm demeanor was infectious. The humans moved with precision and confidence, their presence commanding respect in a way that no weapon could. "Princess," Kale said, noticing her watching him closely. "Do you see what I mean? Strength is not always about power or aggression. Sometimes it is about understanding, patience, and foresight. We do not overpower, we guide." Alara nodded slowly, feeling the weight of his words. She had been trained to respect strength as the ability to dominate and destroy, but here was proof that true strength could manifest in intelligence, empathy, and strategy. She stepped closer, her eyes fixed on Kale. "I never believed humans could do this," she admitted. "I thought you were fragile, unprepared. I was wrong." Kale smiled faintly. "It is easy to judge by appearances, but true capability is often quiet, subtle, and unseen until tested." As the day wore on, the humans continued their careful orchestration. The predators, while still imposing and potentially dangerous, moved with restraint, guided by the humans' subtle cues. Every attempt to break free was met with a gentle, non-violent redirection that maintained control without harm. Alara watched closely as Kale crouched near a small energy barrier, observing a younger predator that seemed unsure of its place. He extended a hand slightly, not as a threat, but as a signal. The predator hesitated, then lowered its head slightly, acknowledging Kale's presence. It was a small gesture, but it carried immense significance. Alara's thoughts raced. She had underestimated humans, yes, but perhaps she had also underestimated the concept of leadership itself. Kale's strength was not in domination but in communication, understanding, and the courage to face danger without fear. It was a lesson she had never learned in the warrior academies of Zurith. "Princess," Kale said, looking up at her with steady eyes. "Leadership is about responsibility, not fear, about guiding others, not forcing them. Humanity survives and thrives because we understand this instinctively. Strength is not always visible, but it is very real." Alara swallowed hard, feeling a mixture of awe and humility. She had watched fleets of warships, armies of the finest soldiers, and yet nothing had impressed her as much as this display of quiet, intellectual strength. Kale had not only survived the Predator's assault, he had commanded it, tamed it, without harming a single creature. She realized that the galaxy's greatest mistake had been to underestimate humans. They were not the strongest in brute force, but their ingenuity, adaptability, and understanding gave them an edge that no other species possessed. Kale was living proof of this truth. By afternoon, the humans had established control over the Predator's movements, creating a safe zone around the colony and its inhabitants. The creatures moved within this controlled space, wary but compliant, guided by the humans' intelligence and strategic placement. The colony began to recover, with humans assisting in rebuilding, providing supplies, and ensuring the safety of the residents. Alara walked among the humans, observing their coordination, their calm efficiency, and their quiet authority. Every gesture, every command, every action was a testament to human ingenuity. She realized that Kale's leadership was not an isolated skill, it was a reflection of the species as a whole. "Princess," Kale said, joining her. "The Predators will continue to challenge us, but we will adapt. Strength is not about aggression, it is about understanding, patience, and courage. That is how we survive." Alara nodded, feeling a sense of pride she had never experienced before. She had once doubted humanity, but now she saw them in a new light. They were capable of facing the impossible, not with sheer power, but with intelligence, strategy, and moral clarity. As the sun set over Zoria Prime, casting long shadows over the canyon, the Predators remained within the controlled area, their movements careful and restrained. The humans moved among them with confidence, guiding, observing, and adapting. Alara stood beside Kale, feeling the weight of the lesson she had learned. Strength was not always visible, not always measured by size or weaponry. Sometimes it was quiet, subtle, and deeply intelligent. The apex predators had tested the humans' limits and found themselves outmatched, not by force, but by ingenuity. And Princess Alara, once skeptical and doubtful, now understood the true power of humanity. Kale's calm authority, the human strategic brilliance, and the respectful containment of the apex predators had revealed a truth that could not be ignored. Humans were strong, resilient, and capable of guiding even the most formidable creatures in the galaxy. And as night fell, the stars above Zoria Prime seemed to shine with new meaning. The humans had survived the impossible, guided the unstoppable, and proven that true strength lay not in domination, but in understanding, strategy, and courage. Princess Alara, standing beside Captain Kale, knew that the real revelation had only just begun. Humanity had shown its true potential, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The apex predators, once feared by every civilization, had bowed in subtle recognition. And in that bow, Alara saw the quiet triumph of human strength, a strength that was not seen in size or weaponry, but in intelligence, patience, and the courage to face the impossible. The battle for Zoria Prime was far from over, but the first major test had been passed. And for Princess Alara, the lesson was clear. True strength is often hidden, waiting for the moment to reveal itself. And humans, she realized, had mastered that art. The dawn of a new day broke over Zoria Prime, bathing the canyon in a golden light that glimmered off the jagged rocks and the metallic plates of the apex predators. Captain Kale stood at the edge of the canyon, his posture calm but commanding. Around him, the humans moved with quiet efficiency, adjusting drones, repositioning energy barriers, and observing the creatures that had once been a threat beyond comprehension. Princess Alara watched from the fleet's observation deck, a mixture of awe and pride swelling in her chest. She had seen humans act bravely before, but this was different. These were not reckless heroes. These were calculated, intelligent, and remarkably resourceful beings, holding command over forces that others would have deemed unstoppable. Kale spoke softly into his communicator. "We've contained them for now, but they will continue to test us. Stay alert, observe their behavior, and adapt quickly. Remember, strength is measured not by force but by understanding and precision." The humans obeyed instantly. Their movements were synchronized, deliberate, and confident. Drones hovered, projecting light and sound to guide the predators' paths. Energy barriers rose strategically, restricting movement without aggression. The predators, towering and powerful, tested every line, every barrier, but found themselves consistently outmaneuvered. Alara's eyes followed the largest predator, which prowled cautiously near the canyon edge. Its eyes glowed with intelligence, reflecting both curiosity and respect. Kale had turned the creature's raw power into a controlled display, proving that strategy and observation could match and even surpass physical might. "Princess," Kale said, glancing up at her, "today we lead them, not fight them. Humanity's greatest strength is our ability to adapt, to understand, and to guide. The predators are strong, yes, but they respond to intelligence." Alara nodded slowly. She had been skeptical of humans once, doubting their ability to survive among the galaxy's powerful species. Now she realized she had been entirely wrong. These small, seemingly ordinary humans possessed a brilliance and courage that surpassed brute force. The humans advanced carefully into the canyon, guiding the predators toward a safe zone where the colony could recover. Each step was precise, measured, and deliberate. The predators moved cautiously, their instincts guiding them to respond to the humans' subtle influence. One by one, they fell into the patterns established by Kale's strategy, their aggression tempered by intelligence rather than fear. Alara's thoughts raced. She had been taught that strength was shown through dominance, through the power to destroy and conquer. But here she saw a different kind of strength, a strength built on intelligence, patience, and courage. Kale and his humans commanded respect not through weapons, but through mastery of strategy and moral authority. Hours passed as the humans worked tirelessly, coordinating every movement. The predators tested their patience, attempting to break free, but each move was met with careful guidance. Kale adjusted drones, repositioned barriers, and communicated quietly with his team. His presence inspired calm, confidence, and precision. The apex predators, once feared across galaxies, were now guided by human intellect and subtle authority. By midday, the canyon had been secured. The predators moved within designated zones, cautious but compliant, their raw power neutralized by Kale's brilliant planning. The humans assisted the colonists in repairing damage, providing supplies, and ensuring safety. The colony began to rebuild, their fear replaced by cautious optimism and growing trust in humanity. Alara descended to the canyon floor, stepping carefully among the humans. She observed their coordination, their calm authority, and the way Kale inspired confidence without raising his voice or threatening the creatures around them. It was a level of leadership she had never seen, even among the galaxy's most experienced commanders. "Princess," Kale said, noticing her presence, "strength is not always measured by firepower. It is measured by understanding, patience, and the ability to guide others, even those stronger than ourselves. Today, humanity has shown that true power lies in intelligence and cooperation." Alara's chest swelled with admiration. She realized that her skepticism had been misplaced. Humans, though physically smaller than many species, possessed an unparalleled combination of ingenuity, courage, and moral clarity. Kale was living proof of that truth. Suddenly, a signal came through the communicators. A new threat had been detected near the outer colonies, another group of apex predators, more organized and aggressive than before. The human team exchanged quick, calm glances, preparing for the challenge. Kale stepped forward, addressing his crew. "We face another test. Remember what we have learned. Observe, predict, guide. We do not overpower, we lead. Humanity survives because we understand the patterns of life, the instincts of others, and our own potential." The humans nodded, moving with seamless coordination. Alara watched as they prepared to confront the new threat. Unlike the alien commanders who relied on sheer numbers and firepower, Kale's team focused on precision, intelligence, and strategic placement. The predators arrived, massive and imposing, but Kale's humans did not flinch. The battle that followed was extraordinary. Humans moved like shadows among the predators, guiding them with drones, lights, and subtle signals. The apex predators lunged, roared, and tested their limits, but each move was anticipated and countered without direct confrontation. Kale's authority, calm and unwavering, radiated through the humans and even influenced the creatures. Alara could see the turning point clearly. The predators, massive and terrifying, were yielding to humans not through fear but through respect. Their instincts, honed for survival and dominance, were now guided by intelligence. One by one, they adjusted to the humans' influence, bowing their heads slightly, stepping back, and following the paths laid out by Kale's strategy. It was a moment of awe for Alara. She realized that humans had achieved something that no other species in the galaxy had accomplished. They had tamed the untamable, guided the strongest creatures with intelligence, and done so without unnecessary violence. By the afternoon, the predators had been contained once more, moving within carefully designated zones. Kale's team continued to observe, adjust, and guide, ensuring that the colony remained safe and the creatures were controlled. The humans' intelligence, patience, and courage had turned an impossible situation into a triumph. Alara approached Kale, her eyes bright with admiration. "I understand now," she said. "Strength is not only in weapons or size, it is in strategy, intelligence, and courage. Humanity has shown the galaxy that power can come in many forms." Kale smiled, a faint, calm expression that radiated confidence. "Humans have survived by adapting, by learning, and by understanding. We do not always have the largest ships or the strongest weapons, but we use our minds, our courage, and our cooperation to overcome impossible odds." Alara nodded slowly. She realized that her previous doubts had been unfounded. Humans, though physically smaller and seemingly weaker than many alien species, possessed a combination of ingenuity, resilience, and moral clarity that made them extraordinary. Kale's leadership had revealed the full potential of humanity in the galaxy. As night fell over Zoria Prime, the stars shimmered brightly above. The humans moved among the predators, observing, guiding, and protecting the colony. The apex predators, once feared across the universe, had bowed in subtle recognition of human authority. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Alara stood beside Kale, feeling the weight of what she had witnessed. Humanity had proven itself not through aggression, but through intelligence, courage, and moral leadership. The apex predators, the most feared creatures in the galaxy, had yielded to a small team of humans because of their understanding, strategy, and calm authority. For the first time, Alara truly understood the meaning of human strength. It was quiet, subtle, and incredibly powerful. It was a combination of intelligence, courage, and the ability to guide others toward a common goal. The battle for Zoria Prime was over, but the victory was more than a tactical success. It was a testament to humanity's potential. The humans had not only survived, They had led, guided, and inspired. They had turned fear into respect and danger into triumph. Kale looked at Alara, his eyes steady and calm. "Princess, the galaxy is vast and full of challenges. But humans have proven that intelligence, cooperation, and courage can overcome the impossible. This is only the beginning." Alara smiled, a mixture of pride and awe. She had once doubted humans, but now she knew their true potential. They were not weak. They were extraordinary. And under Kale's leadership, they had shown the galaxy that strength could be measured not by size or weapons, but by intelligence, courage, and moral clarity. The stars of Zoria Prime sparkled above, a reminder of the vast universe and the limitless potential of humanity. The apex predators, powerful and formidable, had bowed to humans, not in fear, but in respect. And that respect marked the dawn of a new era, one in which humans would rise to meet challenges across the galaxy with ingenuity, courage, and intelligence. Princess Alara stood beside Captain Kale, ready to face the future. Humanity had proven itself, not through force, but through leadership, strategy, and moral strength. The galaxy had underestimated them for too long, and now there was no doubt humanity was ascendant.